A fortune teller's fate is sealed when someone's luck runs out. An horrific end even she could not have predicted. It's a story of twisted love, unbridled lust, and deadly revenge, leading to an unholy, wicked attraction. Just south of Los Angeles is Orange County, home to the country's largest concentration of Vietnamese immigrants. Around 30,000 live and work in what has become known as Little Saigon. Many moved to the U.S. in the 70s and 80s in search of a better way of life. They bring with them a rich cultural history steeped in ancient beliefs, where luck and good fortune can be bought for a price, and enemies can be made to suffer using mystical powers. April 21st, 2005. Young Tran is trying to win back his girlfriend, Anita Vo, after their latest falling out, but appears to be out of luck. Hours earlier, he dropped off coffee and snacks outside her home, and they haven't been touched. But curiously, an expensive bracelet he found nearby, which he assumes was dropped by her mother, also hasn't been retrieved. Concerned, he looks inside. What he sees prompts an immediate call to 911.
That crime scene was something I'll never forget. We forced entry into the home. We noticed what appeared to be a body. The body in the kitchen. It had a piece of cloth over the face with white paint poured over it, and we could also see some blood.
It's 23-year-old Anita Vo.
It was extremely strange. None of us had seen anything like that before. We noticed stab wounds to the body, also on the hands, indicating defense type wounds. About 3 or 4 feet from that body was another one. This body was also covered in paint, and it appeared to be in a bowing position with the hands stretched out.
It's 52-year-old Ha Smith, Anita's mom.
I've seen many dead bodies throughout my career, but nothing quite like this.
Detective Timothy Vu is notified of the homicides.
This was a pretty violent killing. We had both the mother and daughter brutally stabbed to death in their home. This crime scene was pretty bloody.
There's a knife near the bodies, and others seem to be missing, suggesting there's more than one killer, and they didn't arrive armed.
A knife was used to kill both victims, and it would be extremely difficult for one individual attacker to take on both victims and not risk one of the victims running out of the house and calling for help. When we first looked at the crime, we're trying to figure out exactly who the suspects could be or what motivated this killing. The uniqueness of the crime kind of left me with kind of puzzled because, frankly, never ran across a similar case like this.
Ha Smith's body has been positioned as though to send a message. A middle finger is extended in what seems like an obscene gesture. But was the paint poured to confuse investigators, or does it have mystical significance?
When the police saw that white paint, they were just stunned. What could this mean? Could it be some ritualistic thing, or could it very simply mean that the killers wanted to cover something up?
The home is filled with Miss Ha's expensive and symbolic possessions.
We could see what appeared to be some sort of shrine.
The crime scene was very unique. The mother had some altars in the living room, a lot of unique Asian deities.
The bottom of the shrine, knocked over on the floor, were bones. We didn't know if they're animal bones or human bones. appeared the house had been ransacked. The whole house was torn apart.
The couch cushions were pulled out, the drawers were pulled with clothing scattered everywhere. Every nook and cranny had been searched.
The savage use of numerous knives and the disarray throughout the home offers investigators clues about the killer's motive.
When a crime scene is left in such disarray, such a shambles, and such destruction, the obvious message is rage and anger. These killings were extremely up close and personal. The weapon used was a knife, and the victim was stabbed repeatedly. The body is objectified. It's seen as a toy or an object that can be manipulated. This is very rare for a killer to position the body like this. Something about this posturing is a message.
The killers made a careless mistake. Detectives find more bloody knives, which could reveal needed evidence.
They were properties on top of the bag during the ransacking, and in their haste to leave the location, they left the bag behind.
Ha Smith is well known in the Vietnamese community and beyond.
Ha Jade Smith, known as Miss Ha, was a fortune teller and also alleged to be a spell caster. She could cast spells on people. She became quite successful at doing this and had a large number of clients.
Ha Smith advertised in the local Vietnamese newspaper. These papers would be sent across the country to different Southeast Asian communities. She had clients in Florida, Illinois, New York, and some on the East Coast. Some of her clientele would pay her upwards of $10,000 for her services.
Miss Ha was quite wealthy and had a huge collection of jewelry. So they began to look and see and realize that perhaps that has been the motivation of the case, but maybe it was something else. So there's a lot of mystery to this.
Investigators see clues that suggest the victims may have known their killers. No windows or doors have been forced open. There are some fresh flowers and a cup and straw in the kitchen. Investigators wonder if young Tran had been angry with Anita Vo for ending their relationship.
There were some issues between them about jealousy, both of them jealous that the other one might have been involved with other people. He's the one who called the police, and he was the one who was there. Could he have been involved in this?
He was dating Anita at the time and had a falling out with her.
Word soon spreads about the brutal, ritualistic murders.
Pretty much, Little Saigon is crime-free, but occasionally we have murders and other crimes there. But this particular one was so bizarre that it was just off the charts from anything else that's happened there. It was exceptionally shocking, and particularly to the Vietnamese people there.
Ha and Anita's family are devastated by the news.
Somebody came to her house and killed her and cut her head, you know. That's very, very terrible.
I'm gonna remember about how she was lying there in her blood. I'm gonna remember about those people that brutally stabbed her to death. I don't think that it can ever go away.
Anita is a very smart and bright cousin. She got accepted into law school, so to me, she was like my role model. She's a very kind person because she went to volunteer activities to help people.
The price of my family pay very, very much, too much.
Give me some more of this.
For investigators, the list of suspects is growing quickly as they discover a number of people have reason to wish bad fortune on Ha Smith. Crime scene investigators in the Little Saigon neighborhood of Orange County, California, have spent hours sifting through numerous clues left at the home of a mother and daughter brutally stabbed and left covered in paint in a ritual-style killing. Police believe at least 2 people wielded the murder weapons.
The people who perpetrated this did not break in, and now the challenge was to find out who this might be.
The police have a potential suspect, Anita's ex-boyfriend, young Tran, who raised the alarm. They also learn a handyman has been working at the house. He agrees to come in for questioning and is covered in white paint, just like the women who died.
Yep. You only use white paint when you're using it? So you use white paint a lot?
Yeah, I use white paint a lot. We wanted to focus on people that she had interaction with during that week of the killing.
You were using white when you were painting the house?
Right.
Okay. So you got white paint on your hands also.
One of my initial assessment is that possibly this is something personal. Why would someone make the effort to leave the victim in this sort of manner unless there was something personal beyond just a simple robbery?
The reason the killers poured paint over the victims continues to puzzle investigators.
The white paint was very unique, so we made calls around through the county to see if there were any similar cases.
But their search of the National Crime Database comes up empty.
And so we started looking at to see if there were any cultural aspects to the white paint, any significance. And in the Eastern culture, white represents mourning. And so we weren't sure if that was something that maybe the suspect knew.
Investigators dig deeper into Ha Smith's past.
Oh, thank you so much. You're so wonderful. We're so happy.
Fortune-telling in the Vietnamese community is big business, and Miss Ha is regarded as one of the best, reaping rich rewards, often in cash. Miss Ha reads cards and palms and also claims she can cast spells.
And that's where the bulk of her money came from, was performing these type of spell casting for her clients.
4 years before her murder, she had undergone another terrifying ordeal when robbers got away with cash and property worth hundreds of thousands of dollars.
2 male Asians forced their way into the home. Both happened to be identified as Asian gang members. So we started looking at them in this case as well.
In the end, there wasn't enough evidence to prosecute anyone for the crime.
But they began to wonder, was it the same people who came back again?
Miss Ha tries to protect her own future by hiding bundles of cash in a vacuum cleaner and valuable jewelry in a coffee machine.
She became very secretive of how she stored her valuables and her money.
Detective Vu believes her killers never stumbled on her new hiding places, as there was so much lying around to be easily grabbed. The blood at the crime scene reveals what the women endured as the attacks unfolded.
There were blood trails, smears, which would indicate that either the body was dragged or the injured person, still alive, attempted to escape themselves.
The victims had endured frenzied attacks, revealing what was motivating their killers.
Anger, passion, that kind of thing.
Anita has wide, gaping wounds, mainly to the head.
The mutilation centers about the face, an attempt to destroy the woman. These were the deepest, most penetrating, and they would have incurred a large loss of blood.
The attack on Ha Smith had been less savage. She'd fought for her life.
On the back of the hand, there were wounds. And these are particularly defensive wounds to protect body parts, perhaps the face, and they were very deeply injured.
Ha Smith had also been struck with a heavy bottle. Both women died slowly from blood loss. Police wrap up their investigation into whether young Tran is one of the killers.
I interviewed him extensively. We didn't get any sense from Young that there was any animosity that he had towards Ha Smith or Anita Vo. We looked into his background and also checked his alibi, and we were able to confirm that he was at work at the time of the killing, so we ruled him out.
You use white paint a lot when you paint?
The white paint on the handyman who visited the house is highly suspicious.
He was helping out Ha Smith with making repairs, small jobs around the house.
Certainly have to keep these boots for evidence, okay? We're gonna have to run some tests on the paint.
That paint was analyzed against the paint that was found at the scene. It was determined to not be of the same source. And he did have an alibi, so we were able to rule him out in the investigation as well.
Even the Asian gang members suspected of carrying out the previous robbery at Ha Smith's home are cleared.
Both of these individuals that were listed as persons of interest in the original home invasion robbery were in custody at the time of our killing, so they couldn't have been our suspects in this particular case.
If the killers were angry clients, the police foresee an uphill task.
Ms. Ha kept a client book listing all of her customers, and there were scores and scores of them.
Investigators turn to the forensic evidence, and there's plenty of it.
We found in the bathroom a bloody foot impression that was left on a towel. It suggested that one of the suspects in this case tried to clean themselves up in the bathroom, and when they stepped out, they left a foot impression that left traces of blood on that towel.
It looks like the footprint of a woman. The lab finds DNA on coffee cups and a knife, but no matches in the database of criminals to identify the killers.
They're not in the system.
A sketch artist is brought in after a neighbor says she saw a man and woman visiting the house.
And had noticed the male and female going back and forth. They would go underneath the garage door into the garage, and it was open maybe about a foot or two. So she's kind of concerned. Then I go ahead and draw them, making it look as lifelike as possible.
The witness describes the woman as in her 40s and slightly younger than the man. Detectives post the images around the area. The case suddenly gets re-energized in a way no one could have predicted. Someone is making long-distance calls on Ha Smith's cell phone and is spending the dead woman's money.
Both credit cards from Ms. Ha and Anita Vo began showing usage, and the police were notified of this. They began to trace these and learned that there were numerous purchases made.
As the days pass, the spending spree goes into overdrive, reaching $75,000. The thief is finally caught on surveillance tape.
The police were able to see that a woman was making these purchases with the credit cards. The woman was also Asian, and they began to compare the images of her with the artist's conceptions, and there was a strong resemblance.
The mystery woman's trail goes cold, but a few weeks later, she starts spending Ha's money again.
They began to see charges coming from Georgia and in North Carolina.
Finally, the police get the chance for a face-to-face encounter after 5 airline tickets are bought using one of Ha Smith's credit cards. They're for a journey from North Carolina to Orange County, California.
What we decided to do at this point was to send investigators to get onto the plane. Our plan was to surveil these individuals, to find out who they are.
Investigators believe that they're on the verge of solving the puzzle of who killed Anita Vo and Ha Smith. But their journey to find the truth is just beginning, as police are about to uncover a bizarre story of jealous rage, shattered dreams, sexual secrets, and a fatal attraction.
No, you do! Come back!
A mystery woman who has been on a spending spree with stolen credit cards from murder victims Haas Smith and Anita Vo may have pushed her luck too far by booking plane tickets in their names. Waiting on the aircraft are undercover investigators. The plane has stopped in Atlanta, Georgia, en route to LA. The police have no idea who to expect.
We figured this can't be our suspect. She didn't fit the profile. She didn't look the part, especially traveling with the children stuff. So we suspected that she maybe was given the credit cards and that maybe there was someone else locally here that possibly did the killings. And so that's why we decided to invest time into surveilling her.
After arriving in LA, she checks in at a local hotel before hitting the town for a shopping spree,
Here she goes.
using Haas Smith's credit cards. When she returns to her hotel room, she receives a couple of bracelets not on her shopping list.
Tanya Nelson, you're under arrest.
We decided we're going to go ahead and take her into custody at this point and find out what she knows.
The woman is identified as Tanya Nelson, a sex shop owner from North Carolina who has strong ties to Little Saigon.
Tanya, you had all these purchases. We found electronics, different items. We also found credit cards.
I want my attorney.
But when she was given an opportunity to explain away how she came in possession of these credit cards and chose not to say anything about it, our suspicion grew that she was much more involved in the killing as opposed to just being in mere possession of these credit cards.
She just clams up totally. Now, does this suggest something bad about her? Yes, it does.
Nelson's held in custody while investigators fly to search her home in Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina. They discover it's full of property stolen from Haas Smith or recently purchased with the dead woman's credit cards.
They found a calendar, and most interesting was on April 21st, the day of the murder, she had entered 2 words: horrible sin.
Police look deeper into Tanya Nelson's background. She is the youngest child born to wealthy parents in Vietnam. She grows up to be a woman who gets whatever she wants. Nelson never makes a major decision without first seeking the advice of a fortune teller, none other than Miss Ha.
I always tell you the truth. I've never lied to you. We've been friends for a long time.
Married with children, Nelson likes living dangerously. She seeks advice about an affair with her husband's younger brother, Loy. At first, the cards are promising.
Haas Smith told her, oh, you're going to do very well. Your love life is going to be good. You're going to have a relationship that you're going to love.
But Nelson's obsession soon becomes too overwhelming for her guilt-ridden lover.
I love you! Stop this! Stop! No! You're staying here. You're not going anywhere.
I'm done with you, okay?
Investigators learn Loy tries to escape the illicit relationship by moving to North Carolina.
You love me. You know you do. You love me forever. Don't go. You cannot walk away. Come back.
Tanya Nelson believes she's been dealt a bad hand.
Tanya went to Haas Smith and asked for her fortune to be told to see if she was going to get back together with Loy.
I'm sorry, it's the devil card. He doesn't love you.
She also asked Haas Smith to cast a spell on Loy, and Haas Smith says, no, I can tell your fortune, but I'm not going to cast a spell. This infuriates Tanya.
Loy finds a new girlfriend. Tanya Nelson believes she can get him back, one way or another. But first, she must be nearby, ready to strike.
I think your move to North Carolina would be wonderful. I think your business would do better.
Oh, that's great.
You are going to be so successful.
She moves to North Carolina to be near him and opens a sex shop next to a church in Roanoke Rapids to support herself. But with her mind focused on trying to win back her lover, it proves a financial disaster. No amount of expensive trips back to Miss Ha can change the future.
This card is wrong. Redo it.
I'm sorry, but you really need to give up on him. That's my final word.
No, 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 no! You gotta redo it. I paid you a lot of money to make sure that he loves me.
So now Tanya's pretty furious with Ha Smith for these bad fortunes. And now Ha Smith will not cast a spell on her lover, and now the anger begins to build up to extreme heights.
It's all your fault! Fix it now!
Nelson won't take no for an answer and is determined that nothing will stop her from getting her former lover back.
There was a point when Loy and his girlfriend travels to California for vacation, and while they were away, Tanya Nelson burglarizes the home.
Tanya is a determined woman. She wants him back. And she'll do anything. She's a compulsive, hard-bitten, driven woman.
Look at this! Who would do this? My stuff is ruined!
I know who did it. I'm calling the cop.
Loy has no doubts that Nelson is responsible. Photos are missing, including one of him and his new girlfriend.
That same photo was found in Tanya Nelson's possession at the time we arrested her. That burglary was just the starting of many things to come after that. Tanya Nelson becomes more aggressive.
With the help of her son, she tries a new tactic to get Loy back: fear. But her plan to win Loy's affection once more backfires, as it makes him hate her even more.
I love you! I'll kill you! I'll kill all of you!
This is really about a woman trying to get what she wants, rather than truly a woman who's in love. There's elements of narcissism, there's elements of delusion, and there's evidence of obsession and compulsion.
Nelson needs someone to blame, someone she's paid a lot of money to, and someone she feels has given her bad advice: Ha Smith. Tanya Nelson has tried several times to force her husband's brother to restart their affair, but her frantic efforts have the opposite effect, as he now hates her and has no intention of leaving his new girlfriend.
She's driven by her inability to accept no for an answer.
She decides there's only one person to blame: her fortune teller, Ha Smith, who must pay for not securing Tanya Nelson's hopes and dreams.
I'm so sorry, but you really need to move on.
During a search of her new home in North Carolina, investigators uncover a second suspect. There's a boarding pass for a flight to California just days before the murders, booked in the name of Felipe Zamora. He also lives in Roanoke Rapids, and they bring him in for questioning.
So why don't you tell us about your trip to California with Tanya?
Both of our investigators began speaking with Felipe Zamora as to what he was doing in Orange County during the week of the homicide. He proceeded to tell them different versions as to what he was doing here. The investigators were able to get him in a series of lies.
Felipe Zamora has been living a lie for most of his life. He's been married for 20 years, has 3 children, but has a secret.
She knows my secret.
That I am gay.
Investigators soon learn that Nelson has a plan for Felipe Zamora. She knows exactly how to persuade him to get what she needs by offering to help him find male lovers. Men who she knows in Little Saigon.
How about tomorrow night? Okay.
Men who she tells Felipe will fulfill his sexual desires.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Don't worry, your secret's safe with me.
She certainly knew that she could use it to blackmail him, and she used it as a point of leverage to control him.
So she talks to Felipe Zamora and says, if you want to go to Orange County with me, I can fix you up with some of those gay men. So his lust leads him to follow right along with her.
I may have to ask you to do a favor.
Zamora is not sure what help Nelson needs, but he knows she carries his deep, dark secret, so he agrees to accompany her to California. Then he reveals to stunned detectives his biggest secret of all.
She made me do it.
Cheers to successful business. Yes. Thank you so much, Miss Hack.
Before the killings, Tanya and Felipe actually spent some friendly time with Miss Ha, and they went out together.
Congratulations on everything. Thank you. It was all to you. Oh, I owe everything to you.
When they return to Miss Ha's home, Tanya Nelson's fury reaches its boiling point.
Are you making tea?
Yeah.
She wants her revenge.
She just snapped.
God, what is that?
Tanya has this control or this power in that she knows his secret. In that moment, he does exactly what Tanya tells him to do.
Kill her now! Do it!
Oh my gosh!
Felipe Zamora confesses he killed one and Tanya killed the other. And it was that first time we had clear evidence as to who exactly was involved in the killing of both Ha Smith and Anita Vo.
Look at all the stuff. All the jewelry, look. Pearls. Perfect.
Felipe Zamora gave several different versions as to what prompted the killing. But he never clearly gave us a motive as to why he did it. What he did tell us that he was acting under Tanya Nelson's direction, that she ordered him to, or she told him to do that, and he did it.
After the murders, Zamora has one more command of Nelson's to fulfill. They return to the murder scene. Tanya Nelson demands a bizarre ritual involving white paint.
Anita was facing him, and her eyes were still open, and he couldn't stand to look at her face. So he took a shirt that was nearby and placed it over her face, and then poured the paint. It was absolutely shocking to see it, even in pictures. The accounts from the officers where I was talking to them made it even weirder. Some of them were traumatized, had to be excused and left the scene.
In all probability, only Tanya Nelson knows what that white paint meant, why they put it there, and she hasn't decided to tell that.
One thing is beyond doubt.
This is the ultimate insult to Miss Ha. Miss Ha was a very refined, cultured, elegant woman. And what Tanya's done has completely defiled her home and her body.
On the flight back to North Carolina, Zamora says Tanya Nelson revealed why she was intent on murder.
And she explained that Smith was someone that was a liar, that couldn't be trusted. What we believe Tanya Nelson was referring to was that a spell that was casted didn't come through according to plan.
I'm so sorry, but you really need to move on.
Tanya Nelson felt that she was betrayed by Smith. But we believe that Anita Vo was collateral damage in this case and that she was purposely killed so that way no one could find out that Tanya Nelson and Felipe Zamora was involved in the killing.
The whole of Little Saigon is captivated by the story. The most sensational trials in the community's history are about to begin, with no shortage of headlines for the news media.
This is a case of greed, lust, obsession, revenge, straight sex, gay sex, manipulations, lies, the occult, threats, stealing things, and stealing lives.
I didn't want to kill anyone.
Admitted killer Felipe Zamora reveals to investigators how he and Tanya Nelson brutally slaughtered a well-known fortune teller and her daughter at their own home in Little Saigon, California. But Nelson's not talking, and prosecutors have their work cut out for them.
I really didn't have much physical evidence. The paint had done quite a job on the bodies themselves in terms of destroying potential evidence. Then I had these knives, which actually, in my case against Tanya, almost hurt me a little bit because you had physical evidence linking the knives to Zamora being the slayer, not her.
The prosecutor builds her case piece by piece. The calendar marked with the words "horrible sin" on the day of the murder. The fact that Nelson had Smith's identification and uses her credit cards with no reasonable explanation. The resemblance of her face against the composite drawing of one of the killers, and a neighbor who has now identified her. There's enough to take to a jury. Felipe Zamora and Tanya Nelson are charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. They have the murder weapons and a motive.
Redo it.
But surprisingly, they have minimal physical evidence against Nelson, especially for a death penalty case.
The death penalty is losing favor in this country, and it's harder and harder to get juries to come back with a verdict of death.
The prospect of facing death by lethal injection scares Zamora, so he seeks a plea deal.
He agreed to a deal that he would testify against Tanya Nelson in return for a lesser sentence than death.
Zamora will serve 27 years to life in exchange for his testimony to help convict Nelson. For the first time, he will be controlling her fate rather than the other way around.
He was a man somewhat tortured by his homosexuality. She really enjoyed having the power of knowing about his secret.
And I believe it's part of that secret that Tanya Nelson had over Felipe Zamora that kind of allowed her to get him to do her bidding, so to speak.
Tanya Nelson didn't feel any remorse, ever. And I think that makes her the kind of individual who's worthy of the death penalty. But proving that to a jury proved to be more challenging. Before them, I had a woman who had lived, for the most part, a crime-free life.
The Vietnamese community of Little Saigon is gripped by the trial and weeks of testimony about lust, greed, the occult, and the taking of 2 innocent lives.
It's just too incredible. And then throw that Felipe Zamora is going to do all of this because he got promised some gay sex. It's just, you can't make this up.
Tanya Nelson's defense attorneys claim Felipe Zamora acted alone and that there's no evidence Tanya was even there.
You can't lie DNA into a room. You can't lie DNA out of a room. The absence of forensic evidence was, to me, key in this case, so I spent a lot of time on that. That was the thrust of the case, in my mind.
But the most compelling physical evidence is the footprint found on the mat in the bathroom. An expert testifies that it matches Tanya Nelson's perfectly.
So it can't be Anita's foot. She's dead. Ha's dead, and it isn't Zamora's. That only left Tanya Nelson.
The jury finds the 45-year-old mother of 4 guilty.
She became enraged, screamed at the jury, saying that she didn't kill anybody, demanded to speak to the jury. She eventually was removed from the courtroom for being disruptive by the judge.
After what I saw in the court, I think she's not a human being. Because I can't imagine that anyone can do such a terrible thing, especially to a close friend that always be there and help her.
I feel very, very bad about her children. Her son, after the court, he hurt me one time, then he says sorry. Make me feeling very, very sad.
Nelson is sent to death row at California's Chowchilla State Prison.
She's extremely dangerous. She can get people to do what most of us would think would be impossible. She got a 50-year-old male to commit murder who had never committed a crime in his life.
He has no reason, no real reason to do that to my aunt. I just don't understand how a person can do that. Just following some woman's order, and you know that you have to pay for it for the rest of your life, is not very smart.
Felipe Zamora needed Tanya Nelson to satisfy his secret sexual desires. Tanya Nelson needed his physical strength to help carry out a double murder born out of revenge.
The promise of enacting his homosexuality and having the opportunity to explore a relationship with a man completely overrode his judgment. He participated in these heinous crimes. And that was the weak link that Tanya preyed upon to draw him in and engage in these crimes. The wickedness of the attraction was Tanya's predatory nature and Philippe's weakness.